I have been in career services for a total of about 16 years, 12 at Ole Miss now, 4 at a prior institution. And before that, I worked in student affairs and in residence life. So I've been in student affairs, working with students for 20 plus years. I've also worked in the private sector and business for a few years before I came back to higher education. So my first love is working with students. That's why I'm here. And so before I even get started, I want to tell you, you can always, even after today, always feel free to contact me. My email address is Jonathan, and Jonathan is Jonathan, Jonathan at career.olemiss.edu. Feel free to email me. My direct extension to my office is 915-7165. And you're always welcome to email me, contact me. I'm pretty good about getting back with the students, so if you email me, just say South Haven student, Boonville student, whatever. That just kind of catches my eye so that I know to respond to you quickly. My main office is in Oxford. I do spend some time around North Mississippi. Actually, I'm leaving here today and talking to a few employers in Memphis while I'm here to kind of maximize my day. And I do try to do that in order to create networking links for you guys so that as you start looking for jobs, as you start getting information about companies, you're always welcome to contact me to see if we already have a connection with the FedEx, with the Smith & Nephew, with the Medtronics. Okay, because a lot of the companies, especially in Memphis in this area, we already have recruiting relationships with. And you'll find that in order to get through a lot of the red tape, first step is networking and knowing people that can help you get your resume, cover letters into the hands of people in human resources. Okay, so a lot of what I'm going to talk to you today about is the networking piece. Career services, basically I look at career services, we have 2 sides to the office. The first side is our career development side, and basically that part of the office helps our students that aren't sure exactly what they want to do. So sometimes we have students that come in undecided with no major, or we have students that will change their major as you know when they get to campus. So if you're in the boat where you're not exactly sure what you want to do, not exactly sure what your major is, we have people and staff in place that help students find their way, if you will. Okay, so that's the development side, and then the side that I'm on is the employee relations side. What that is again helping you to make those connections with employers. We also do a lot of career preparatory type of exercise with our students, which include mock interviewing. So we never want the first interview that you go to be the interview of the company that you want the job with, okay? Because usually on that first interview, we kind of struggle with that a little bit. We're nervous. We're not confident in what we're going to say, and that comes across in the interview. So we never want you to go in unrehearsed or unpracticed. So we offer mock interviews to students to get them ready. We assist students with their resume writing. I work closely with Janine Rouch here at the South Haven campus. The Writing Center does a really good job of critiquing resumes, giving you resume advice. So that's available for the South Haven students here. I'm not as familiar with Tupelo. I do know that I have a colleague that works the Tupelo campus. His name is Mark McLeod. Same deal with him. He teaches a career life planning class in Tupelo. And I know they have a writing center in Tupelo. I just don't know that much about it because I spend most of my time here. So I do know that's available. But employer services mainly, we get you ready. We try to get you rehearsed for interviews, get your paperwork ready or your court job correspondence ready to send out. And in order to do that and to know where to send it, that's kind of where I'm going to take my focus of the presentation to you today, is resources that are available to you, okay? So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to start. One thing that each student has access to is a software system that we use called EmployUM, okay? When you started at Ole Miss, now the upload, if you're brand new to Ole Miss this semester, the upload has not come down yet. So I'm working with the registrar's office to get that information. So if you're new to Ole Miss this semester, you do not have this account yet. If you started last spring, then you should have an account. Okay, so EmployUM is easily found. I'm going to show you how to access it. I'm going to show you what it looks like just so that you can see how easy it is to use, but there are certain things that you need to do stepwise in order to be able to use the functionality of it. So I'm going to go over some of those things today. So I'm going to go to the Career Center website first, which is career.olemiss.edu. The web page that you see is, we're making some changes as I talk now. There are people developing us a new web page. Hopefully before the end of the semester this will change, but for now, this is what we're seeing. To get to EmployUM, there's a link here. Or you can simply go to Hire, which is H-I-R-E, Hire Ole Miss Rebs, REBS.com, HireOleMissRebs.com, and it takes you to this screen, okay? So you're going to see the student login. We tried to make this as simple as we could. The username, like I said, a lot of you already have access to this. So your username is your full Ole Miss email address, okay? Password is your student ID number, starting with the number 1. Now, the screen that you're seeing is EmployUM. Everything's on one page, and everything is driven by the drop-down menus, which are across the screen here. Okay, now, the page that you're going to see, if you've never logged into this system before, the actual page that you're going to see first is your profile screen. All right, so I've already had my profile in, so it bypasses this. So if you log in for the first time, this is the screen that you're going to see. This is important that in your profile that you update the information. If the information is incorrect, for instance, if your major's not right, if you haven't populated certain data fields like GPA, work authorization that you have, it could affect whether or not you can see a position that's posted or if you could apply for a position. Okay, now, our employers have access to this system. Right? So when an employer contacts us or before we work with an employer, they have to register an EmployUM. This is how they register for job fairs or recruiting events. It's also how they post jobs so that you guys have access to see them. We have a lot of employers that post positions, and I'm going to show you where to find those jobs. We do our best to vet those employers to make sure they are legit. One of the things that we try to do is make sure that according to the rules that are set forth by the government, that the companies are EEO compliant. So we make sure that the information they're posting is current, contact information is legit. If you ever come across a job posting in either our website or another website, and it sounds too good to be true, it could be possibly that is the fact. For instance, sometimes we have had companies who will represent themselves to be a legit company. For instance, a small business in Oxford will have somebody that's pretending to be that business that links information from the business website so that when you click on it, it goes to the business. All right, so it looks good. The phone number to the business is there, but the contact information, the email looks suspicious looking, and the phone number doesn't work. And in their job, it's usually something about paying $20 an hour for you to go out and run errands for somebody. Okay, that's a scam. Okay, and those come to us each semester. We get probably 10 to 15 of those types of people trying to get information to scam students. Okay, and we're not the only university that has this issue. So if you ever see something and you question it, let us know. Again, we try to vet through this to make sure that doesn't happen. But if you see something and you think it's too good to be true, it most likely is. Okay, these are for all. Part-time, full-time, and internships. You're not going to see as many part-time listings in here, but you will see the full-time and internships mostly. Okay, so make sure that you fill out your profile information. The information that is required has a red asterisk beside it so that you know that that's what you have to do first. And once you have that information in the system, it'll take you automatically to the home page, again, which looks like this. All right, so the first step is logging in, is using your username and your password that's already there for you, okay? Second step is updating your profile information. That is very important that you make sure that that data Those data fields are complete and correct. And also, you need to upload your resume in the system. Okay, so I'm going to show you quickly where that goes. I'm under my accounts. I'm going to go to my documents. You see the headings here that says resume, required, add, so forth. So if you wanted to upload a resume, all you're going to do is click on the add button, and then you're going to upload your resume from your flash drive, hard drive, and it automatically will ask you to name your resume. Okay, you can have as many resumes in the system as you want. I don't know why some people would have 20 or so, but most of the time we just have the one or two. But you'll give it a name so that later on in the process when you're applying to a job and you click on it and you want to apply to it, the system's going to ask you which resume do you want to use. Okay, so you'll need to know which resume, the name of the resume that you want to send an employer or the employer that what it is that they'll see. So again, all you do is simply upload your resume in the system. If you'll see some options up here to view the resume, you can view it after you've uploaded it. Also to update it. Now, one thing with the system, for security reasons, if you see a mistake, now, I'm the world's worst in my very own resume, my Vita, which has been, I don't know how many times it's been revised, and I've had people look at it, and every time I see it, I still see something that I want to change on it. I may have a typo on there, and again, with resumes, as you know, you can't afford to have errors on there, okay? So sometimes you'll view it and you'll see something, well, I want to move that, or I want to change this date, and you can't do it from the system. Okay, you have to make the change from the original document and then click update so that it's re-uploaded in the system. Okay, that's one of the security features that you need to know about. You'll see some of the other options here. Transcript. Sometimes companies will ask for an unofficial transcript. You can simply go to My Ole Miss account and in a PDF form get a copy of your transcript to put in the system. One of the easiest things that I've seen students do is they go into their My Ole Miss account and they basically copy the screens of their transcript, put it in a Word document. They'll upload that in the system. That'll work for an unofficial transcript for an employer. And the last thing that you'll see is a cover letter. That's very seldom used for this system, okay? But you could add a cover letter if you wanted to in the system. Okay, once you have the profile updated and your documents in, you're free to start perusing and looking for jobs. First thing I want to talk about is this job and internship drop-down menu. This is a basic. Most of you have seen. Most of you have seen job boards, if you will. Some of you have been to Monster.com, CareerBuilder.com, and you've seen some of the ways those look. And this works very similar. One of the advantages to you using EmployUM, though, again, is that companies that have posted in this system have come through us. Again, we've talked to them, and they have an interest in Ole Miss students. Okay, so they'll post their position in here, and the jobs that you see, we have 320 jobs that are active now. I think last year we had almost 2,000 postings in, and that encompasses all majors, okay, from anything from accounting to biology positions, could be teaching, counseling, whatever it may be. But so a lot of these jobs that I'm showing you here, they may or may not have a GPA requirement associated with it. A lot of companies do use GPA to screen, especially for entry-level jobs. And that's why it's important to know how to, and I'm going to get to the networking part, because you might just be just below a cutoff, but if you could actually get your paper or your resume in front of someone or talk to someone, usually that goes much further, especially if your resume, if you have work experience or related work experience, if you've done volunteer community service work and you can show some of those things, they're going to be more likely to talk to you and sometimes disregard a lower GPA. Basically, again, you can see the job listings that we have. You're also automatically linked in to a great resource, our job board, which is called Indeed.com. You can go to Indeed.com without going through EmployUM if you want to, or you can always just check to see what's there. I clicked on Indeed.com. You can do a regular job search for, say, South Haven, just to see it's going to pick up Memphis. 800 types of marketing jobs in this area. Okay. Now, when you go to an Indeed, you have to filter through these and kind of see if this is something that you're interested in. I have seen some jobs that students aren't typically interested in. For instance, it could be, and I'll use this as an example because you don't see this anymore, but it might be the encyclopedia sales type job, okay? So you'll see jobs that you're like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. But again, those kinds of jobs will be posted in here. So you have to kind of go through it, work through the system and see which ones you are interested in. But it's an excellent way to find positions. Indeed is an aggregate site, which means that if a position is posted out there on the web, that supposedly Indeed captures it. It keeps you from having to go to all the multiple job boards that are out there. Okay, other options that are available to you, even though all of you are satellite campuses, we have a number of companies that come to the Oxford campus to do interviews. Okay, now, you're like, well, that's an hour's drive, and I think in each instance it's about an hour away for Tupelo, Boonville, Grenada, and South Haven. But you guys still have access to come and do interviews on campus. So we have a number of companies that will do that. And to see them, this is the on-campus interview schedules. You can see the companies that we have. We had 168 companies that did interviews in the office last year. So I'm on campus interview schedules. The first option there is sign up for interviews, resumes that you qualify for. You'll see a listing of companies that we have so far that are currently taking resumes and doing interviews on campus. Most of what you're going to see right now are our accounting firms. Our accounting firms are doing interviews right now for their internship positions for next spring 2017. And they're also doing full-time job interviews with our master's degree students. Okay, so if they'll have any accounting students out there, usually I always have a few. Good. So this is a great way for you to make connections with the recruiters of those firms. Okay, and also get started with the interview process. Just need to make sure that you know what's going on. Accounting has a pretty formalized process with dates and timelines. So you would need to get with me so I can tell you when you need to know when to do stuff, okay? Because there's a lot of different things that accounting does and a lot of different dates, and it'd be to your advantage to know what those are, okay? Okay, so you can kind of see now the companies that are here. You're going to see pharmacies. You know, again, these are segmented off for final year pharmacy students. Our pharmacy program is a 7-year program, and they have an interview day coming up in October as well. So you're going to see a lot of that on the front end, and then as we get a little bit later into September and October, you'll start seeing other companies, other banks, financial institutions, other agencies that will be posting that they're coming to campus, okay? Now, a lot of you may be working jobs and you're in school here and it's impossible for you to make the trip to Oxford. And I understand that. So if you see companies that are coming that are regionally based here, it's not a problem for me to work with you to see if I can get you connected with a recruiter that's in the area, okay? So sometimes they will meet with you. Sometimes they tell me that student needs to come to Oxford because that's where my team is. Okay, so if you can email me and say, hey, is there any chance I can talk to the FedEx people here? And I'll say, let me check and see. And sometimes they'll say, sure. And then sometimes a company may say they need to be in Oxford. And so you'll have to make that decision if you really want to talk to somebody, is that hour's trip worth the drive for you? And I would say it probably is, okay, if you can work it out between work schedule and going to school. Let me go back to the teaching job. It's a pre-select. So when I click on it, it automatically tells me if I'm interested, I can apply by just simply clicking on that button. Sometimes I have students that are qualified for jobs, and in red, it says you do not qualify for this position. And so students will call me and say, it tells me I'm not qualified, but I am. Again, 99% of the time, the problem is in the profile. The profile isn't complete. The information isn't updated. So you're getting screened out, and that's the only way that happens to you, okay? When you see not qualified, there's something in your profile that's screening you out of a particular position. So, you can call me. I can quickly find it. Sometimes it's hard to find, but I've been doing it so long, I know where to look. So if you have problems like that, feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be glad to work with you. Don't spend longer than 15 minutes, okay, trying to figure that out. Just give me a call and I'll be glad to help you. Again, with this particular position, this has a timeline associated with it because it is a pre-select scenario. It opened back on the 8th of August. The last day to be able to send your resume to it is the 23rd of October at 10 o'clock at night, okay? That's it. After that, this tells you the pre-selection due date. That means that the employer has got a quick turnaround, okay? The employer is giving themselves 1 day to go through the resumes and choose who they want to interview. So again, if you're chosen, you'll receive an email saying you've been chosen. Then you'll be able to sign up for interview times on the 25th. Okay, so pre-select is very deadline, timeline oriented. Okay, so you have to keep up with the dates, and that's why it's important to know how to look for that and make sure you're following through. If a student is selected by an employer and they miss the sign-up period, generally there's nothing that I can do to help them get on the schedule other than ask the employer on their behalf to allow them to sign up. Most of the time an employer will tell me, no, that just shows me they lack attention to detail. They knew the timelines, they're there. So it's hard for me to get a student in. Sometimes I'm able to. Some employers they're like me, they're kind of laid back, okay? But accounting firms, banking, finance, those firms, companies like that, no, sir, okay? That's a completely different ball game. So they're they look for any way they can to screen out potential employees, okay? So little things like that can mean whether or not you get an opportunity to interview. So always pay attention to the timelines. That's a pre-select scenario. Again, if I was interested, I'd just click on Apply Now. And here's where it asks you, I have 2 resumes in the system, so it's asking me, what resume do I want to send this employer? So I make the choice, and I hit Apply, and that's it. I wait to hear if that employer is going to select me. Okay? That's all you have to do with the pre-select. The other scenario that I wanted to show you was the open scenario. And I'm going to go back to the environmental engineering and training position with the MDEQ. You'll see open a lot of the times, and that means that if you want to talk to them, if you're interested in their job, they will interview you on the spot. Okay, so that's good, right? You get right into the interview without a screening process. If I click on that, I can find information about the position. Okay, you see those highlighted in blue. The name of the employer is there. I can find out information about the company. I can find out a job description. So if I click on that, this tells you a little bit of the job descriptions, the qualifications that they're looking for, and then the application process. I'll go back to the sign-up feature. So you see the sign-up button. I click on that. These are the available interview times. Okay, so usually, sometimes you'll see multiple 8:30 time slots. That means that we have more than one person there doing interviews. So they try to make it where it's convenient for students to get their interview in, okay, because they know everybody's working or they got scheduling conflicts and so forth. So they'll work with you to try to get with you face to face. Again, these interviews are usually in the Career Center in Oxford. Sometimes we have them in other places on campus, but again, just let me know if there's somebody you see on there that you want to interview with or talk to, you can't make it down there. Let me kind of be your liaison between, with their employer so I can try to talk them into seeing you up here. Again, a lot of the times they'll work with me. Rarely do they tell me to tell them what I said about coming on down there. Most of the time they'll work with me, okay, because I don't want to lose out on a good candidate. Part. Job descriptions, pretty self-explanatory. Career fair and events. Okay, so I'm going to move more towards networking. Career fairs are an excellent tool for you to do this. So career fair and events, you can see the career fairs that the Career Center is partnering with different schools on campus to bring these career fairs and opportunities to you. The very first thing that we have, and we know with our graduates outcome survey that we do with our students, we have about 30% of our graduates that are going to go on to graduate program. One of the things that we have seen an increase in, and we're fortunate to do, is offer a graduate and professional schools career fair. It's Monday, okay? It's the 12th of September. And the last couple of years we have, and this year especially, we are over capacity. We're trying to figure out how we can accommodate everybody. We have 67 programs that are coming on Monday to to meet with students, to talk about the programs. There are law schools, there are MBA programs, or medical affiliated schools. There's a number of different schools that are coming. So if you have interest in that, this website shows you this Law and Health Professional School Day. It tells you when it is. It's from 2 to 4:30 at the Inn at Ole Miss Ballroom. And if you have questions about where that is, how to get there, all you have to do is email me, and I'll send you a pretty detailed description on where to park, how to get there on campus, where to be, that kind of thing. I'd be glad to do that. So if you click on View Employers in alpha order, you'll see the different grad programs that are going to be present next week. So a lot of, you're going to see some of the Ole Miss programs are going to be there, obviously, but there are also programs from Indiana. I see that LSU's there. Mercer out of Georgia is there. So you're really from all around the region. Northwestern University. So there's a lot of programs. St. Louis University. You can kind of see all the programs that are there. SMU. So let's just say you're interested in law school, and SMU is going to be there. You can click on SMU, and sometimes it'll give you, and they did not do this, but sometimes they'll give you even a detailed description of their program. Okay, they have the employer has the ability to fill these screens in, and I chose Gina's Skipworth here, who didn't do that for you. Okay, but sometimes the employers or grad programs will give you a little bit more information so that you have something there to kind of make your decision. Hey, do I want to visit this program? So that you're not going into the situation cold. Okay, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Our big all majors career fair is October the 4th. We call it the Career Expo now. Again, it's on the 4th from 1 until 4, and it's also at the end. Most of all of our events are at the end at Ole Miss. And to view those employers, again, you might be trying to decide, is this something that I should attend? Is it worth an hour's drive for me to go down? And we've had from South Haven, we have had a number of students that get together and carpool and come down. Certainly, you're welcome to, and we want you to come down to the event, okay? So this gives you a tool to see, again, the companies that are going to be present. I think we're at 47, 48 companies that have registered. By the time this event hits, we'll be around our max number, and that's around 60. Okay, so we'll have about 60 here for that. And in alpha order, as they register, okay, in real time, they'll populate these screens. And so we even encourage our sophomores and freshmen to come to the career fair. Again, these are the recruiters for these companies. So if you see a company that you're interested in, there's nothing wrong with coming down and talking to the recruiters and letting them know, hey, I'm a junior, I'm not graduating until 2018, but I have an interest in your company, and I have a specific interest in XYZ position that you have. Let them start that communication with you. It's easy for you to meet them. They usually have their contact information. You can email them along the way. I'm getting ready to graduate. So it's never too early to make those connections and make those contacts with people that do the hiring, okay? Our career fair, the people that are there to hire you, okay? They're not there just to come to Ole Miss for the day. Hey, I'm going to Oxford for the day, okay? They don't do that. So they come down, they come to us, they're on a mission. They want to see our best students. They want to see our students who are prepared, and they want to hire you. Now, the other part of this is it's not just full-time positions. They're talking about internship possibilities too. So a lot of you, if you're a junior especially, may have the opportunity to work with some of these companies as an intern, either during the breaks, the off periods, or a summer, or one semester, or whatever it may be. There are internship possibilities, paid internship possibilities. Okay, let me throw that word out there. We all need to make a little money, right? So a lot of companies offer paid internships. And again, I can't tell you the value of having that kind of related work experience on your resume. So think about that too as you're thinking. Okay, I'm still 2 years away. What are some things I can do now to make myself very competitive when I enter the job force, when I get ready to make those applications? What's going to make me competitive? GPA is important, but just as important is what you've been doing since you've been in school at Ole Miss. What have you been doing? Okay, what have you been involved in? What organizations and clubs have you been taken a part of? Well, what positions did you have in those organizations and clubs? What kinds of community service projects were you a part of? How active were you in your community? So employers are looking at the whole picture. Okay, they're looking at GPA. They want to see someone who's well-rounded, who's got other things other than just going to school. And so, so keep that in mind. So career fair can help you kind of bridge to a company to find out information. And this is an excellent tool for you to use. Number one, it tells you who's going to be there. I'm going to use Community Bank just for my example. I was hoping maybe they had filled out, but they kind of tell you what their major is. Again, sometimes they'll give you a lot about the actual jobs, position types. They'll tell you that on the front end so that when you approach their table, you know who the recruiter is. Her name is Kim Sullivan. She's going to be here with Community Bank. You can approach Community Bank's table. When you come to a career fair, you're always dressed professionally. You're going to have resumes in hand. When you approach tables, you're going to approach their table and you're going to say, hi, you must be Miss Sullivan. If they're good at what they do, they're going to be standing out in front of their table trying to get you to come talk to them. So approach them, okay? And it's a little bit harder. I'm an introvert by nature. So it's a little bit harder for me to make connections with people who I don't already know. So I have to kind of get over that in my head. But yes, business cards are excellent. Another excellent. You can already have a business card. Some of you are like, wow, I'm not employed. I don't have a company name on there. But your business card is a snapshot of you, what your major is, when you're planning on graduating. Okay, I have seen students with the code on the back, the scan QR code. Students put that on the back so that when they hand that to the employer has a resume on the business card, okay? And that can be helpful. So, yeah, so a business card is helpful to have. The whole thing with that is because I know the community bank's coming, I already have an idea of what they're recruiting for, who's going to be there for community bank. It lets you look like you're prepared. Okay, a lot of students just come to this fair and they do exactly what I was telling you. They kind of walk in and they're like, and you see them do these things, okay? That's bad, okay? You never want to approach a table and say, what do you do? That's what happens. So this is trying to help you get to where you can approach a recruiter or employer and do it in a professional way. Again, thank them for coming to an event. They don't have to do that, but they're there to support the event. But they want you guys. They're there to get you. Okay, so don't back away from talking to the recruiters. Usually they're concentrated in the southeast. So usually we've got them we have a lot of Memphis types of positions, Jackson, New Orleans, Atlanta, Birmingham, Nashville. Some Texas companies will come, Carolinas. A lot of the companies are nationwide. Right. They send their southeast recruiter because they're housed in Atlanta or Nashville, so they come to our fair. That doesn't mean that you can't ask them. I'm more interested about the job in North Dakota. Okay. Can you help me? And they'll say, sure. That's Dr. Smith's area. I'll be glad to forward your resume. So don't think of it like that. So if it's a nationwide company, even though there's regional recruiters here, that doesn't mean you could not get there. They may post it with us for you guys, but they also may be posting it Memphis, Mississippi State, Southern, wherever it may be. They have that option. They simply just overall look and appearance of the resume needs to be consistent. And when I say that, sometimes we get a resume and someone's bold everything or they use italics here and there. But if you're going to bold your employer name, you need to do that for all employer names. If you're using italics for the position titles that you had at those places, there's a whole etiquette to a resume document. We don't write paragraphs about what we did. But, so, we use bullet points, and we start those bullet points with action words and those kinds of things. So after the last day to drop has come and gone, after that day has come and gone, then they do the upload, or they give me the names to upload in the system. And it takes me 10 minutes to do that. So it's coming in the next couple of weeks. But if you want access now, if any of you want access now, all you need to do is email me. Okay, and say, hey, I'm a new student, would like to have access. And I can go ahead and kind of go and make the old end run on that and get you in the system.
When a company asks you what you know about them, what exactly are they looking for?
They're trying to see if you've done any research about them, I kind of mentioned when you approach the table for a career fair, for instance, hopefully they would have given you a little bit more information than the example that I've showed you. But if you know, let's keep using Community Bank for this example, if you know they're going to be there and you want to approach them and you don't really have a whole lot of information other than the job categories, you can always go to their company website, which is also linked here, communitybank.net. Most all employers' websites have information about their company. Also, they have career information, or job boards, if you will, that you click on and you find job postings that way. So you may have to do a little digging, but they're trying to find out, what have you done to find out about them? Okay, so they want to see that you've made some effort to find a little bit of information about who they are, who their customers are, where they're located, what new things may have happened with the company, mergers, new deals, new construction. I mean, all that's fair game in a conversation. The career links that you see, this has been replaced by LinkedIn. Okay, we want to move over to additional online resources. Number one is Going Global. Okay, so some of you may have interest in leaving the country and working. Okay, so Going Global is a resource that allows you to find positions elsewhere. But Going Global also has other tools available. It also has a jobs and internships database in Going Global. Other thing that's useful is this USA Canada City Guides. So this has a listing of the hot cities, if you will. Okay, so not weather-wise, but places where they're all pretty hot right now, I guess. But places that students generally want to go to. So you'll notice Memphis is here, Nashville is here. So if I click on Memphis, this gives us information about the city. Okay, cost of living, that's important. Big difference in the cost of living. So this gives you a tool to kind of do the research by. One of the things that I do like, I mentioned our job fair. There are other job fairs. There are city job fairs. And this gives you information about those, career fairs and events. Okay, so if I click on career fair and events, this talks about some of the upcoming events that's going to be local. There's a health fair here. And then it gives us a job fair in, and this is for the whole state of Tennessee. So if I click on that, we can see there's one in Nashville, and we see the one in Memphis will be January the 27th. Okay, so if I click on that, this gives you information about where this is going to be at the Memphis Cook Convention Center. Okay, when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and usually, I doubt this is available yet, but this website should take you and show you again who is going to be there. So this, again, can help you, especially if you're wanting to go to a city like Austin, Texas, okay, or Nashville, or wherever it may, Atlanta. So there's always these jobs. The other part of this is sometimes I work with students that are not U.S. citizens, and they require sponsorships and so forth to be able to work in the U.S. So H-1B here, this link will show you the companies who have sponsored our international students, okay? So they've sponsored the students so that they can work in the U.S., so that they can get the visas that they need in order to do that. So this gives you a list of those companies. Going Global is an excellent tool to use, and we pay for that and house it in EmployUM so that you don't have to pay for it, okay? That way it's free for you to use. And then Vault, similar system. Vault, the gentleman asked me about company information. Vault houses information about companies, more information than you'd care to know. Okay, 3 or 4 pages worth of information on a company is usually highlighted within Vault. So it also will take, you'll also find job postings within Vault, but it's easy to type in company information, industry by industry, and find information about the companies that you need in order to approach an employer. Okay, so it's a quick resource for you to use. Again, it's a resource that we pay for so that you have access to it. Okay, government jobs. I want to just talk briefly about that. usajobs.gov. So the government process is a little bit different, and there are a number of government opportunities, and a lot of people don't think that they're major. It's something that the government would look at, but most likely it is. Okay, so there are a lot of different government jobs. There are going to be more and more openings within the government because the average age I can't remember statistically what it is. I do know that in '08 they were anticipating a lot of people to retire. And we all know what happened in '08. Bubble crash, a lot of investments. A lot of people lost half their retirement and so forth. So a lot of those people who were ready to retire in '08 are still working, and they want to retire now. Okay, so the government is looking at a shortage of workforce in a number of different areas. So think about government opportunities as you're looking. The government has done a really good job of making their salaries competitive now with the private sector. The other advantages is, of course, one advantage would be benefits, retirement, and one thing that's important to most all of us now is our time. So with a government job, usually you're going to work 40 hours a week. You may or may not work weekends. Most likely you won't, and you won't work on holidays. Okay, so those are some perks that you get with the government that you may not get in the private sector, just to throw that out there. So consider government as a possibility. We're going to run to that website quickly. The website itself can be a little intimidating, and I tried to break it down and make it easy. If you see this that has students and recent graduates link, you want to click on that. And some of you may say, well, again, I don't know. I've got a major in marketing. How are they going to use that? I got a major in management, accounting, whatever. How would they use that? This gives you federal occupations by college major. Okay, so you can click on that. You can find, these are the job titles for accounting, for instance, job titles for agriculture. So you can do job searches based on the job titles to find out where the jobs are. The application process for the government is a little bit more extensive too. So they give you a tool, which is under the Resource Center, and if you're going to make application, strongly recommend that you follow exactly what they want. It tells you how to create an application. It also tells you how they want their resume. Their resume is completely different from what you're going to turn into a business. Okay, it's a lot more detailed. So they're going to tell you how to create it. You can also put your resume, your existing resume, into their template to change it. So they make it easy for you. So do exactly what they say. Now, when I talk to my government officials, if you apply for a position, they're going to send you out this little questionnaire. They're going to ask you questions like, do you consider yourself average, good, or an expert in these areas? I myself, I think I'm pretty humble. I would never say I'm an expert with Employee UM. I'm an expert in career services because, I feel like I have adequate knowledge, but am I a total expert? I would never say no, of course not. Well, with the government process, with that particular process, when you made an application and you get that questionnaire, they tell me, the government people tell me to tell you, you're an expert. You don't say expert, you're never going to get the application to a person. So say you're an expert, think about yourself being an expert, and when they call you, let them determine whether or not you're the expert or not. Okay, that's what and that came straight from government recruiters. Okay, I'm not just making that up for you. Okay, so that's a little helpful tool for you to remember if you make government application. So there you go. So that's how you get to government positions. But these are good ways to start job search. Okay, good tools to use to start your job search.